Okay, now that we have that started, I want to thank everyone for attending with us. Apologies for the change to virtual. We've had some COVID concerns here, and we wanted to make sure that as many people could attend as possible. We are very delighted and happy to have the turnout that we're having at the moment and to have the great guest speakers that we're going to have today. So I want to get started with this presentation. And just to briefly go over the agenda for today, as you see, we went over the tech check. I'll soon be passing it over to welcome and opening remarks from our chair, Kimberly Cole. Afterwards, we'll be going into NJFinLit, a presentation by Todd Woodley of Enrich, who's going to go through the website and the program and let you know how to use it and show you all the great advantages and tools that are there. Afterwards, we're going to award the NJCFE President's Award to State Treasurer Elizabeth Mayer Moyo. And afterwards, we'll have closing remarks. We'll have remarks from the Treasurer, and afterwards, we'll have closing remarks and the Amazon gift card giveaway from our Executive Director, Michael Drulis. Just want to quickly introduce myself. My name is Ryan Berger. I'm the Assistant Executive Director of NJCFE. I'll be handling all the tech and the question moderation. We're going to be asking you to put your questions in the chat for our presenter at 10 o'clock. So I'll be able to read those out later. Once again, very happy that everyone is here and happy to introduce our chair, Kimberly Cole.
Thank you, Ryan, and welcome everyone. We're very excited to have you here today. We know that the change of venue, shall we say, was a bit unexpected, but so are the numbers, and so we just keep on rolling, don't we? So I want you guys to just take a second and think about what you did yesterday. You know, if you're anything like me, you're running around like crazy. Did you use? Did you get gas for your car? Did you? I don't know. Well, if you got gas for your car, you probably took a second mortgage on your house too. But in all seriousness, I ran my kids around. We stopped and picked up a sandwich on the road because everything was kind of crazy. It's a typical day. Here's my other question to you. Did you actively use geometry? How about poetry? Were you reading poetry as you were kind of running around? Maybe American history? Well, you definitely use these things if you were playing Jeopardy last night. But in your everyday life, probably not unless you happen to teach those specific topics. But now, if you go back to yesterday, just think about, again, what you bought. Maybe you looked at something and you made the decision not to buy it. When you came home last night, you flicked on the lights and they went on because your electric bill had been paid. Again, things that we are not thinking about. However, the one thing you used in your day yesterday, without a shadow of a doubt, was financial literacy. This is a skill we use every day, which makes it important for children and adults alike to learn how to utilize and how just to manage money. This symposium, we have educators and practitioners who teach this critical skill each and every day. I would like for you guys to just take a moment and applaud yourself. You are truly shaping the minds of those that will go into this world and hopefully make it a better place. I have a very exciting presentation for you today from Todd Woodley. I'm looking forward to that one myself. With some of the new tech that came out from the state. And I also have the great honor of presenting the NJCFE President's Award. So I hope that you all enjoy today. It's a beautiful day out, so we will be letting you guys out a little earlier than we had anticipated when we were all going to be face to face. So there's a benefit there. Enjoy and thank you.
Absolutely. And we wanted to thank our sustaining premier sponsor, Affinity Federal Credit Union, which we could not be putting on these events. I want to thank Grant Gallagher and all the work that he's done for us on the board and his organization. Want to make sure that we thank all of our event sponsors, Affinity, of course, as well as Raritan Valley Community College, Jumpstart, and Stockton University. And also everyone who has donated to us. We very much appreciate any and all donations that we have received. So I want to quickly move on. Well, quickly to mention that NJCFE's impact has been felt all across the state, over 100,000 households, hundreds of thousands of website hits. And we aim to reach every single person who is looking for financial education. That each soul we train is equal to no less than 100 additional lives trained and touched, because we are trying to teach the teachers of the world, at least of this state. And we know that the information that we share here today hopefully will be shared by you with your students and your community. So without further ado, I would like to pass the baton to Todd Woodley. Todd is the Vice President of Client Development and Research for Enrich Financial Wellness. He's been with iGrad, which is the parent company of Enrich, since 2014. Previously worked at Citibank and the National Student Loan Program. And iGrad has been used by more than 600 institutions, over 1 million students, providing comprehensive and customized financial literacy, featuring career advice for students and graduates, user-specific financial education courses, and video-based student loan entrance and exit counseling. So Todd is going to give us a presentation, a walkthrough, so to speak, of the NJFinLit website. Todd, would you like to speak more to that?
Great. Thank you so much, Ryan, for this opportunity, and Kim and the committee for having us today. And special thanks for everyone being here on this Friday morning. So really looking forward to this being, yes, a presentation kind of overview of the Enrich platform that has been developed, the NJFinLit platform that we're excited to partner with the New Jersey State Treasurer's Office on. I will share with you that it was particularly exciting for us as we went through the process, because I will tell you that the treasurer is very committed to this initiative, and also the team there at the treasurer's office. Through the process, they were all very engaged, involved, including the treasurer on many of the calls, as we kind of walked through the capabilities of the platform and how it matched with the interest and the needs and the vision of the treasurer's office. And I know the treasurer is going to speak more to you about that later this morning. And while we're only about 6 to 7 weeks into the partnership official launch in early April, we are already seeing that will be shared later, some amazing results in the near term, and really getting some good data in terms of what the impact is on financial issues with some of the users, what they're focused on, and then even one of the things that we focus a lot on that we're starting to see already is just the elimination or reduction of stress as it relates to finances. So those are some things that were very important to the treasurer's office in finding a platform, and that is to have something that's going to offer a very specific, a very relevant experience for an individual, no matter where they are in their journey, whether they're a student, a career, early, mid, late career individual, or even into retirement. The vision is to have something that's going to meet that individual where they live and really help them throughout the process. So what we'll be talking about today is iGrad and Enrich's role in working with New Jersey in this initiative. I'll give you, a deeper dive into the platform itself that you're seeing on the screen now, and kind of walk you through how the platform can work and does work for our clients, the capabilities around that. There's a lot of different options in terms of pathways and how to introduce the platform resources. We'll talk about some best practices there. But our focus ultimately is to educate, empower, and then allow an individual to take action, whatever that action may be that is most appropriate. Because it's one thing to improve competency, but our focus, which is what New Jersey is really wanting to focus on here, is how do we improve the financial lives of individuals? How do we improve that individual's day-to-day financial well-being? And in turn, really focusing on the whole person as well and how finances relate to that. So one of the things that you'll see that we focus on is at the top, you'll see we've got topics, courses, tools. There's also a mindfulness component. So as we go through, we'd love for you to kind of think about this as not just a website or a platform that has, resources, but also a platform that really is here to connect with the end user. Because one of the things that we've learned is you can improve competency all day, you can measure improvement of competency and understanding of a concept, but that doesn't always translate into behavior change. So one of the things that we really focus on at iGrad and Enrich is how do we really create an experience in a digital environment that is going to connect with that individual, no matter if they're in the classroom, if they're an employee in the workplace, if they're a customer or a member of a financial institution, whatever the case may be, our focus is how do we use this tool and this resource to really connect with that individual on a very relevant personal level, but also how do we work with our clients in helping them better understand how to communicate the value of the platform, because it's really not about the what it is, it's really about how it is leveraged in terms of how it can improve the day-to-day financial well-being of the individual. So as we go through, you'll see that we've branded it. You'll see the NJFinLit logo here on the platform. You'll see that the platform is divided into topics, courses, tools, and then there's a Mindfulness Hub as well, which is just recently launched. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. But before we get into the demo, a few things that I know will be of particular interest to you, and that is the platform is fully ADA compliant. It is mobile first and fully responsive, so there's no limitation to an individual consuming the content on mobile, phone, tablet, etc. Also, from a privacy and security, data security standpoint, keep in mind, we do not collect anything that is that really constitutes personal identifiable information to speak of. So from one standpoint, we're not collecting information that could make it vulnerable. But on another hand, we do take it very seriously in terms of data security. So we work with hundreds of colleges and universities across the country. We work with thousands of employers and financial institutions now across the world. And with our compliance requirements, both globally and domestic, we are very well, you can be assured. And I know that the one thing that the treasurer was very focused on was that data security, data privacy, et cetera. So I just wanted to kind of make sure that that was understood as well. We are 100% a financial wellness company. So we're not a financial institution offering this service as a value add. This is strictly what we do. We are a financial education and wellness company. So we do not bring any services or products into the platform to offer unless the client wants to do that. So I'll give you an example. We work with employers across the world, large, small, mid-size, and oftentimes what we try to do, as I mentioned earlier, is not just educate and empower, but allow the individual to take action. So one of the things that we align to the education is, for example, an employer's benefits program. So maybe they offer an HSA, or maybe they offer, retirement with a match, etc. So we will bring in and connect that employee with that specific employer's benefits so that they can not just learn about the value of the benefits, but be able to take action, whether it be enroll or increase their contribution to better improve their retirement readiness, or whatever the case may be. So wherever we can bring in products, solutions, etc., that are relevant to that individual, that is sanctioned and approved by the client, we can do that. So I know we're focusing today more on kind of the classroom environment with the teachers that are attending today. So I'll give you some use cases around that as well. But I did just want to kind of give you, from a global standpoint, how we can support not just the education, but also helping you better align action items, etc. So you can see, as I mentioned, the branding is here. The look and feel is here for NJFinLit. You can also see at the top, there's the ability for the user to sign up. It's as simple as first name, last name, email address, and password. We want to keep that simple and not collect anything that is, like I said earlier, that's going to be too personal identifiable, because that will be an inhibitor for engagement, as we have learned. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to log in as if I'm a user, and kind of walk you through the experience. And Ryan, if there are questions that are coming in that need to be addressed during the session, please don't hesitate to pose those to me.
Absolutely. And I would like to ask everyone who does have questions if they could put them in the chat. And we'll try to keep the questions at the end. Of course, if there's anything that is specific to the moment, I'll make sure to ask it. But anyone who has any questions, please put them in the chat so I can read them out at the end. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ryan. And one thing that I will point out with the New Jersey platform, as you see, it's njfinlit.enrich.org. The user can come in and explore a myriad of resources. So under topics, we have a topic library ranging from everything from A to Z, as you see here, around basic banking, budgeting, all the way through to retirement, investing, cryptocurrencies, et cetera, et cetera. So you can see that there are tons and tons of resources. We have about 3,000 or so articles and videos that make up our library. We do create all of our content in-house or with contracted subject matter experts around the country in certain areas, for example, tax laws, et cetera. We want to make sure that we have the right resources and subject matter expertise. But as you can see, as I go into the banking, just the basic banking tab, you can see there are a lot of resources in different formats. And one of the things that you'll note here is that we set an expectation of how long it's going to take that individual to complete that exercise. So all of the resources on the platform are going to take the individual typically no more than 3 to 5 minutes to complete before they move on to something else. And whether it's an assessment, even within the courses, while the courses may be 10 to 30 minutes in length, within the course, the user's doing something different every 3 to 5 minutes. So for example, in the budgeting course, they may be creating their budget, et cetera. So there are a lot of different resources, as you see here, on the various topics. You can see this is the featured content panel. You can see this month, estate planning, spending less, behavior finance. So this is what's being featured this month. The client does have the ability to feature other pieces of content that may be relevant. So that is the client's real estate, but our team of editors will automatically adjust that. Usually every few weeks, they will change that featured content banner. But it's one thing to have the 27 courses, the thousands of articles and videos, et cetera. The main thing is how it gets leveraged to the user. So yes, the user can come out and through a smart search, type in a topic that may be of interest and receive, and kind of view that there's 215 or so pieces of content just on the topic around taxes in different formats. But what we focus on is how do we create that very prescriptive, relevant experience for that end user? So here you can see I've created a demo account that is NJ Demo. I've customized it with some personal photos here to make it my dashboard. This individual user has gone through what we call our financial wellness checkup. It is an 18 to 35 question checkup that asks questions like, how stressed are you on a scale of 1 to 5 about your finances today? If they answer that they're 2 to 5 stressed on that scale, we're going to follow that up with, what are those areas of finances that are stressing you the most? Then we'll find out, what types of debt do you have? Do you know your credit score? We have ranges there for them to include, or if they're not sure, we have a credit score estimator tool that's built into the platform. We ask questions about what are their financial goals. So obviously working with high school, college students, et cetera, oftentimes they haven't thought about financial goals. So we want to get them thinking about financial goals early. And as the governor mentioned in his presentation about the resource last month, the one thing that we really want to focus on is, again, making it a lifelong journey for that individual and being there for them throughout the process. So we like to start early with those concepts and introducing those concepts around financial goals, credit, et cetera. We find out about even protection. What types of insurance do they have? Do they have a will? Do they have an estate plan? So things of that nature, because we want to get them thinking about those as they go through the process. And then we find out if they're a student, then they'll get presented with a series of questions that are more relevant for a student. If they indicate that they're a citizen employee, et cetera, then they're going to get more of the questions that are relevant for them based on where they are in their financial journey. And then as a result of completing that financial wellness checkup, the courses will be recommended to them. Articles and videos will be recommended to them. So here you can see, much like what we're used to with Netflix and Spotify, et cetera, there's top recommendations. So here budgeting is obviously of interest. And then insurance and student loan and borrowing is something that I've indicated, or the person has indicated on the onboarding assessment, that either is a need or something that they want to learn more about. And then you can see, because I've borrowed student loans, there's resources here. Because you saw me key in and look at the banking tab earlier, because I looked at that tab, the AI as part of the platform will say, since you explored that tab, you may be interested in some of these articles around that particular topic. So it really begins to make the experience very relevant for that user as they go through the process. And again, the other thing that we also do, in addition to presenting them with the recommendations from a topic standpoint, we also recommend content in an area, in a format in which they like to consume it. So if we see that they're migrating more to video, we're going to recommend more of the topics in video format for them, maybe than text, or vice versa. So we also like to adapt the learning based on how the individual shares with us that they like to learn. I mentioned also that there are courses, and I know we have a lot of teachers on the call today. So these courses are being used in high school, primarily high school, college classrooms. And oftentimes the instructor will pick anywhere from 3 to 12 to 20 of the courses to use, depending on whether it's a 1-hour credit course, or it's a workshop, or it's a full 3-hour 16, 18-week semester course. Then they will pick courses to focus on. You can see some of the titles of the courses, and you can see that the courses are divided into introductory, intermediate, and advanced level. And we have some broken down into multiple courses. So here you can see there's a planning for college course, there's managing debt, There's understanding credit. There's a basic one, and there's a more advanced one. There's understanding student loans, saving for goals. This month coming up, we have actually, we're launching a new 529 course, because on May 29th, it's 529 day. So we have actually worked with the National Association of State Treasurers, working with a team of experts in the 529 area. So we'll be launching that course ahead of May 29th, coming up here in just a little over a week. So we're excited about that. So we're constantly adding new content and new courses to the platform. Each course is set up the same way in that there is a course overview, there are learning objectives for the course, and then there's the attributes for the course here. You can see that this course estimated time to complete 15 minutes. There's 2 to 3 minute videos. There's interactive exercises throughout. There are quizzes. There's pre and post test scores that are part of the course itself. And then at the end, once the user's completed the course, they get a personalized action plan that will share with them some analysis of how they did on the course, their pre-score, their post-score. You also see that we focus a lot, as I mentioned earlier, on the emotions component. So there's the how they felt about the topic before. We also give them some empathy, so they know that how they compare to others based on certain ways they answered certain questions. So we want to bring all of those best practices when it comes to behavioral finance throughout the entire experience on the platform. And then you can see at the end, they get a personalized action plan, things they may want to think about that will help them through the process. And then they get a certificate of completion. We have some instructors that will put together a curriculum, as I mentioned earlier, maybe based on 3 to 8 to 10, whatever courses. And then, you know, at the end of that, they get a credential or whatever the case may be. Or as you saw there, they get a certificate of completion. So those are the courses, the topics section. As I mentioned, if an individual just wants to come out and explore certain topics, there's here you can see the video. The latest thing that we focused on is launching our Managing Financial Stress course, as well as our Mindfulness Hub, which is a nice segue into the next section that we'll get into. But you can see that an individual can come out and explore just the different formats that are available or the different videos that are available in this particular case. We do have a planning for college, paying for college section. We have a scholarship. You'll see under tools that we have a scholarship search tool. We have a very dynamic budgeting tool, which the user, as they go through the budgeting course, actually goes in and completes this tool. And that's part of the exercise within that course. So we also have a proprietary, as I mentioned, scholarship search and job search tool component that's built in and comes standard with the platform. So you can see that that scholarship search tool is here. What we learned from our schools about 8 to 10 years ago, working with them, is that they did not always feel comfortable recommending some of the scholarship search engines because there was solicitation for fee-for-service resources. So what we did is we brought this scholarship search hub together. And one of the things that we can talk to New Jersey about, if there are specific scholarships for the state of New Jersey, then we can customize and bring those scholarships into this co-branded platform. So that comes standard with the platform, as you see, and then you can see. I'm just going to scroll through. There's a job search component too. That even if I just type in the state of New Jersey, it will bring up jobs just for the state of New Jersey. So we feel it's important to align career resources with financial literacy resources. We feel it's important to align the scholarship and paying for college for obvious reasons. So those are part of the platform experience. And then I'll just take a few minutes now and share with you a little bit more about about the specific tools around the behavioral finance component, because this is something that's being used in classrooms across the country. A lot of college classrooms in particular love this feature. We developed about 5 or 6 years ago now what we call our Your Money Personality Assessment. So we've talked about the financial wellness checkup, which really gets an idea of where that individual is and how they're doing with their finances, asking a series of questions around the types of debt, credit, etc. That instrument is also meant to be longitudinal. So about every 30 to 60 to 90 days, the individual comes back on, they get prompted to update their stress level, update any information that they may have. One of the things we focus on is savings. So we focus a lot on how many did not have savings when they started working with, in this case, NJFinLit. And then 6 months from now, we want to look at how many of those individual users are reporting savings. Because one of the things that we found through our research, it's not only the level of debt and that impacts an individual's stress level around finances, it's the absence of protection, things like savings, insurance, things of that nature. So while we focus on the debt management piece, we also want to focus on getting that individual in a much more financially secure place by giving them the tools and resources they need to start that process of saving and investing. So that instrument, the Financial Wellness Checkup, is meant to be longitudinal in nature, ongoing. The Money Personality is a one and done assessment. It's kind of patterned around the Myers-Briggs, if you will, but it's related specifically to finances. So in this case, you'll see that this individual's gone in, they've completed the assessment. I would recommend any and all of you, please go in, sign up, create an account, and go through the 2 assessments. Note that you can come into NJFinLit and review articles and videos without having to sign up. But if you take a course or an assessment, something of that nature, more significant, it is going to require or ask you to create an account. So this individual, getting back to the Money Personality Assessment, has completed the Money Personality Assessment. It's typically a 30 or so question instrument, takes about 3 to 5 minutes to complete. The individual answers how closely they relate to a financial statement on a scale of 1 to 7. You can see here the why behind it, the science behind it. We created this with a team of PhDs in behavioral economics and finance. We've won several awards. We just won an award from Barron's for for innovation and inclusion around this particular tool itself and the impact it's having on individuals' engagement in financial wellness. Because it's one thing, as I mentioned earlier, to teach an individual different concepts, but to be able to connect with an individual and help them learn more about their relationship with money and why they make the financial decisions they do is extremely important. So we have a 95% completion rate from start to finish. Again, it's only a 3 to 5 minute experience, but still that's incredible because the individual is wanting to learn more about themselves. And then those that have engaged in the Money Personality Assessment are twice as engaged in the platform as those who have not. So this gives them a little bit about the how, the why, the science behind it. Again, the individuals completed the assessment, and then it walks them through 5 different categories. The first category is emotions. So as you see, it provides them with kind of an ebook that lets them know a little bit more about themselves. And in this case, the category of emotions, they got the persona. There's 2 to 4 different personas possible in each of the categories. Their persona is apprehensive. It lets them know they're not alone. 27% of the people are also apprehensive that take this assessment. And then it provides them with a summary of what that trait typically means and what are some of the typical tendencies. And then it provides them with their strengths and challenges with that specific persona. And then we're not only recommending content from the Financial Wellness Checkup or how the individual interacts with the platform, but we're also recommending content based on how they completed this assessment. So you can see here, we provide them with some strategies and again, continue to provide them with some things that may be helpful for them based on that persona. See, the second category is outlook. In this case, they're optimistic. What's interesting here is we find that the optimistic persona is actually more stressed about their finances in general than a skeptical persona. And I guess maybe the skepticals aren't expecting as much, maybe. I'm not sure, but we find some of this data, and as we correlate the data, to be quite interesting. But you can see it kind of walks through the strengths and the challenges. So you kind of get the idea of how this works, helps the individual learn more about themselves, kind of walks through, you can see focus. The other one is influence, are they socially or independent? And then there's a bonus category as well. The other nice thing about the Mindfulness Hub is we also have money meditations. So you can see an individual can come in, they can pick a category or a topic, they can pick if they want a 5, 10, or 20-minute meditation time for that particular topic, and focusing on reducing stress. One of the more recent notable ones that we've heard feedback on is the shifting economy, because there's a lot of stress this week specifically about what's going on with the economy. We've created a series of with experts in the area of meditations. So we've got the mindfulness component, and the one thing that's very exciting for particularly our classroom, those that are using the platform in the classroom is the journaling component, because we find it's very important for the individual to be able to have some self-reflection. So here's the ability to create a journal. It is encrypted, so the only individual that will ever be able to see their journal is them, as they within their logged in environment. And then you can also see that we provide them the opportunity to have some prompts around what they may want to journal about. Or it could be that it could be a journal assignment from a classroom, or it could be that they're meeting with a one-on-one coach and they want to take notes and have that for future review. So a lot of different ways this platform can be leveraged. So I am going to stop now. It looks like there's some chat activity. I appreciate everyone's time today. I hope this hasn't been too overwhelming, because there's a lot here to unpack, I realized, but I hope this has given you a nice overview of the capability of the platform, how it tailors the experience to the end user, and then how you can use the platform in maybe some of your day-to-day activities within the classrooms, etc. So Ryan.
Thank you. Thank you, Todd. I really appreciate that comprehensive presentation. I would like to go through some of the questions that we received. I would like to give the courtesy to our board members to ask some of the first questions. I want to start with our vice chair, Patricia Burhow, who I see has put a question in the chat. Patricia, if you'd like to unmute and ask your question.
Yes, hi, good morning. I'm trying to get, oh, here we go. Yes, good morning. Well, thank you, Todd, so much. That was great. As someone who's been working in this field for a long time, I was thrilled to see New Jersey create this platform, and I've been very impressed by it just on my own looking through and then hearing more about it this morning. I do want to congratulate you all. I love the section, as you say, about mindfulness. That's so important, and people don't always recognize that. And it really just, it does seem like you all have put together a really impressive resource here. One question I did have about that was, given the vastness of this, is there some regular schedule? Of course, we all know that things change all the time, and news, things like medical debt and how that's going to be reported, etc. Is there some mechanism that there are, somewhat regular updates? How does that get handled?
Yes, most definitely. It's a great question, and thank you for your comments as well. I really appreciate it. We've worked hard, and again, we love partnerships like with the New Jersey State Treasurer office, because they came in with a specific strategy, specific vision, etc. So love that. As far as the content goes, yes, we are updating content daily. We have a team, in-house team of editors that I mentioned earlier, along with the subject matter experts. And what we do is we do take cues from what's going on, what's trending. We also take a lot of cues from our clients in terms of what they would like to see, both from a content standpoint as well as from a feature standpoint. And I'll give you some examples of those but we do constantly update both the content and the features. The other nice thing about it, as I alluded to earlier, is in this case for the co-brand, New Jersey has, and I know they plan to take advantage of the ability to have custom content. Like we work with the state of Maine as well. And I'll give you some examples. We worked with them for several years now, and they have their own scholarship programs for the state of Maine. They have different things that are specific to employee taxation and benefits, and they bring that custom content into the platform experience as well. So those are some things that are also available. But the Mindfulness Hub you brought up, one of the things that we do typically every 18 to 24 months, we have a roadmap, a product roadmap. And as you mentioned, in financial wellness and financial education, it's constantly changing. So the roadmap is something that we almost look at on a quarterly or a 6-month basis. We used to look at it a year out, but then things change so fast. So one of the things that we do is we send out a product board to our clients. And there's typically anywhere from 10 to 15 different products or solutions that we're looking to engage for a future roadmap consideration. And there's a 3 to 5 minute experience, kind of a prototype. Well, last year, we had the mindfulness concept together. That was part of it. We had it about middle of the pack when it came to priority. When we got the feedback back from the clients, it was #1 across the board, because we were already starting to bring in things like, counseling resources for a lot of the co-branded sites. Because if an individual indicates that they're 5 out of 5 stressed about their finances, probably have a lot of stress in their life in general. And how can the client, in this case, whether it's an employer or a financial institution or whatever the case may be, help that individual be in touch with the right resources to help them navigating through that process, not just from a financial standpoint. So we're already starting to see that trend. So the Mindfulness Hub at that time, this was probably July, August, September, we've been working on since, and we really just launched in the last week or two. So we're excited about that, and thank you for your feedback. And then we built a lot of the courses and the infrastructure. As you saw, there's a whole behavioral finance topic area as well. And as you may have seen, a skeptical personality, there's actually content that is geared toward someone with that type of a personality to kind of help them from a perspective standpoint.
Well, I can relate because I came in as cautious and skeptical when I went through, which probably those who know me would agree. So I could attest to the accuracy. But yeah, I did have some follow up, but I'm going to let Ryan, I'll let you pass things along to others, and then perhaps we'll circle back or get to the questions in the chat. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. We have a lot of the users that say, can I have my spouse or partner complete this? Because I want to make sure we understand each other from a financial standpoint. So I understand that I have the same personas that you do. So yes, Ryan, please go ahead.
Absolutely, and thank you. I just want to move on to our treasurer, Tracy Rimple, who has a question. Tracy, would you mind unmuting?
Hi, Todd. Thank you so much. This is wonderful, and I'm really excited to dig into this. So I know that you mentioned and you shared, how you get the content and you have the subject matter experts. So I'm kind of wondering if you can just share with us, how do you select the subject matter experts?
Yes. So we, as you can imagine, we have an internal team, and now we're also not just selecting U.S. subject matter experts. We have subject matter experts in 19 countries across the world now. So we work with Virgin Pulse, Dell, Coca-Cola. So they have an arduous task of looking into credentials, making sure it's not just that they understand the topic, but we get writing samples as well. So each of the contributors in that we work with will have their bios, and all within the platform around, if it's an article written by, it will have their bio. So I'll walk through here, but we do have kind of a network that we go to, but they have a very stringent requirement around, in fact, let me just go to the latest. Here you can see this was just created. So you can see that improve, read more. So you can see that, what his background is. We usually have a link to the individual's LinkedIn, et cetera. So, but we do a lot around vetting and making sure. So we have a team probably of 30 to 40 right now, and about 10 of those are in-house. So we probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 that we use outside. But we do a lot of vetting when it comes to making sure we have the right, the right credentials. And it's not always just a CFP or RIA or whatever, it's a retirement or whatever the case may be. We want to make sure that we have the right subject matter expert that has a lot of experience and maybe specializes more in that area. Like Melissa Horton is one that I really enjoy her articles, and hers is more tax planning, estate planning. She's a lawyer in DC. Focuses on those issues and does a great job for us.
Great, thank you, Todd.
Sure.
Thank you very much. And moving right along, we're going to go to our secretary, Grant Gallagher. Grant.
Thank you, Ryan. Good morning, Todd. As Ryan mentioned, I am the secretary of the NJCFE, and I'm also the head of financial well-being at Affinity Federal Credit Union. So this has been I'm a big fan of Enrich. All full disclosure, at Affinity, we've been using it for about 4 years now, and very, very happy with it, and all you guys have done to grow the platform over the years. So very happy to see that the state is taking advantage of the same platform and pushing it out to residents. Obviously, as a financial institution, our measurements of success are a little bit different when we're looking at the platform and how people are using it. But from an individual standpoint, how would you recommend individuals who go in there and use it measure their own success in using the platform?
Yeah, no, that's great, and thank you for that feedback. And yes, as you mentioned, Grant, we love our relationships with the credit unions. The mission, the value align nicely with what we're doing. So that's fantastic. So as the individual goes through, they have their own kind of reporting here. What we look at, as you mentioned, with KPIs globally, the things that we focus on are from an engagement standpoint, we look at re-engagement rates. So as you know, Grant, one of the biggest challenges is not getting individuals back to the platform, it's getting them there initially. And it's one of those field of dreams things. It's not a field of dream. If you build it, they don't always come. They will come if you build it with purpose and you have effective communication. So one of the things that we look at is engagement rates, yes, but we look at re-engagement rates without some kind of a prompt or incentive to do so. And we have a high percentage, 52 to 70% most recently, depending on sector, of re-engagement rates within 60 days without some type of an incentive or tied to some type of a mandate. We even see that with the high school, college, and university space. We've done a lot of research around that, and I just was on a panel for National Association of Student Personnel Administrators recently with like Ohio State, University of Kentucky, and Yale Law, talking about how students don't know what they don't know, but when you require or integrate it organically, that they do get value and they come back. So to get back to answering your question as to how an individual would measure, I think the one thing that we focus on is just their financial stress level. For one, we focus on things like stress levels. Are we reducing it? We see on average over a course of a year for our users, those that have completed the checkup 2 to 5 times over that course of the year, we typically see a 23% reduction in stress level. When an individual comes in, they're typically on average about 3.3 out of 5 stressed. What we want to see is that being reduced. I will tell you, as I alluded to earlier, if they have savings, they identify as less stressed. If they don't have savings, they identify as more stressed. So stress level, savings rates, are they saving? We've got some case studies where one of the credit unions we work with, a large credit union in the Midwest, we focused some data around that where we saw over a 15-month period of time, savings rates improved by 53%, which equated to about $1,700 per individual on average. So those are some of the things that we look at, and also the individuals look at. But just really engagement, just empowerment is a big part of it, and seeing that their stress level is reducing, because if their stress level is reducing, that means they're feeling more empowered, and obviously things are improving for them from a financial well-being as a whole. And it's not one size fits all, because one of the things that we focus on, unlike many of our competitors, is we focus on what is it that individual values, and how do we make sure that they associate and have their finances aligned with their values, and being able to empower them to do so. So I think from an individual standpoint, it's really focusing more on, are they changing behavior, and what does that look like from translating into their overall financial well-being and overall well-being. Because we do a lot of work now with some of the insurance companies, like some of the Blue Cross Blue Shields, on focusing on the impact of financial stress on things like health and well-being and insurance rates and things of that nature. So much like with our clients, I know I'm not answering it as directly as maybe you would want, but much like with our clients, each client, as you mentioned, has a different KPI for measuring success. I think that's true with the individual as well.
Thank you, Todd. That's helpful.
Sure.
Thank you. Moving right along to Scott Cohen, another one of our board members. Scott.
Hello, Todd. Can you see me?
Yes. How are you today?
Great. Good. How are you?
Good.
Thank you so much for this presentation. And I always enjoy the tools that the state of New Jersey develops for our students. I'm a public high school teacher in business and personal finance. So we always are welcoming of new tools that are invaluable to our students' growth and development. I was really happy to hear you talk about Maine. I've used a lot of the FAME Maine materials, and they've been fantastic for us. And I was always curious why our state was not sort of taking the lead on some of that work as well and partnering with them. So I'm glad to hear that. I'm assuming that's what you were talking about, was the FAME Maine program, which is really terrific. And also, one of the things you kind of alluded already to the question I had. My question was, how do you keep users coming back and engaging with NJFinLit? And you sort of addressed that in the prior discussion, I guess. So what I would like to tag on to that is this notion of partnering with other Jersey Department state programs like the Jersey Career Navigator and other tools that are out there, and sort of marry these programs for sort of a universal front end for the combination of career, internships, scholarships, financial literacy, and sort of wrap that whole thing collectively around a front end tool, rather than all of these disparate systems. And they're all good and unique in their own way, and some use refinement, etc. So any thoughts on that? Any discussions, any direction on that for us as educators using all these different tools?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I will get back to your first question, because I didn't answer that. Within the platform, once a user comes on and creates an account, we do prescribe to more of those nudge principles, to where if they haven't been active in 14 days, we will send a little note saying, hey, last time you were here, you completed the budgeting course, or whatever the case may be. Here's something new we thought that would be interesting to you. So along the lines of those recommendations, we kind of push that back out to them. And then we also have a monthly brief newsletter for users that will talk about the new features. So obviously this month, it's going to focus a lot on the Mindfulness Hub and the journaling and things of that nature. And we find that oftentimes really helps from a nudge factor in keeping them coming back. Thank you for your comments about FAME. They've been a great partner of ours for several years now. We've got co-branded platforms for all 19 of their system schools. We work with their employees. They do a lot of the community outreach, as you mentioned, working with families and students, helping them through K through 12 all the way, helping them transition to college and into career. So do some great things. They've got a great game that that career game that they've developed. So just love the work that we do and the partnership that we have with them. So I think your point is a great point, because now New Jersey has a centralized hub and opportunity, because just last week I received an RFP that came through from one of the states where we have, not New Jersey, but where we have a partnership and a relationship. And it was for a specific cohort population. The platform was perfect for it. And my thought is, they already have the platform in one agency. How can we, to your point, tie it all together and create the different use cases? So we have similar partnerships to where we can do that with multiple co-branded platforms that are templated, but aligned with what New Jersey's doing here. Or it could be this specific platform that gets introduced with a different pathway or a prescriptive plan for those users, where those calls to actions can take them right into the resources for this single platform that could be used by many different organizations or associations, putting their voice on it on the front end with a web page or a landing page or however they would want to do that, and be able to bring them into this resource. We have that example for many different groups, and could easily be replicated, as you mentioned, to some of the use cases that you share here. Again, the resources, it could bring them into this experience, but the pathway and the voice and the introduction and the value could be promoted specific to that particular audience's needs.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm excited to start implementing more of this platform into our classes. So thank you for being here and sharing what you have.
Yeah, my pleasure, Scott. And I know that's something that Melinda and the team at the Treasurer's Office, we can definitely talk about as we move forward, because what's exciting is we're 6 weeks, 7 weeks into the partnership. And what we've seen with partnerships, as we noted with other states like Maine and Illinois, et cetera, is that it becomes an evolution, and you have to walk before you run. And that's one of the barriers to entry for a platform like this and that's one of the things I commend New Jersey for, is there's a lot here. There's a lot of opportunity here. And I have a tendency to want to save the world before I focus on the village. So let's focus on the phase one. And then I know that New Jersey has some great plans going forward. So excited about the possibilities. Sorry, Ryan. Other questions?
No problem. Absolutely. Yes, we have a question in the chat from Len Gamble. We have a few, actually. I'm going to combine the first two, which are there pre/post assessments for classroom use? And does the platform offer classroom reporting /analytics? Great questions.
Within the courses, there's a pre and post test assessment for each of the courses built in. And there's even an adaptive learning to some of the courses as well. So within each course, there is that component. On the back end, there is a reporting console that will offer the pre and post test scores and the results. In this particular case, use case, where the co-brand is New Jersey, one of the things that a lot of clients will do is the instructor or teacher would have the student forward them or send them their pre and post test score, their analysis. You saw that little PDF at the end that has their pre and post test scores, has some analysis, and then their certificate of completion. Where we have clients that they have a specific use case, whether it be a school system, a university, where they're incorporating it into, for example, we work with a lot of large universities, NYU, Arizona State, etc. We've got some of the large Southeastern Conference schools now that we work with that have really taken the first year experience even out of the classroom and put it into the entire cohort of their first year class. And then they monitor that. So they're able to do that because they have their own co-brand, and we can integrate within the LMS. So they use Blackboard, Canvas, and we can actually integrate within the syllabus, whatever the case may be, have the links going directly into the courses that they want them to take at certain times of the semester. And then they get real-time reporting back on that. So one of the things that we can kind of help you with is what the use case may look like, how you want to integrate, and then it may be a situation where the student can share the data in terms of completion data and pre and post test scores, et cetera, or there could be an opportunity to work with you on a reporting mechanism. But for those where we do have their own co-brand, we're also able to feed through either API or single sign-on integration. We're able to feed some data back, or even through an SFTP transfer a file where it can load into the LMS or into their student information system.
Okay, thank you. Also another question from Glenn. Is there a cost for this resource?
There is a cost to New Jersey State Treasurer's Office. They're subsidizing and sponsoring this platform on behalf of many for use in this co-branded platform. For all of our clients that have a co-branded platform where they have the ability to configure, there's over 100 different configuration options. I didn't mention that, but you can configure the platform, what courses you want to feature, what courses you want to offer, what you want to suppress. You can turn things on, turn them off. You can have different pathways, etc. So that configuration, the ability to customize for that co-brand, and then the reporting going with that co-branded platform on the back end, that does have a setup fee model as well as an ongoing licensing fee based on eligible utilization and things of that nature. So in this case, New Jersey is sponsoring this platform.
Okay, absolutely. We have another question from Dr. O'Neill. Can people anywhere use NJFinLit resources a la carte as needed without formally registering or being contacted later on?
I'm not sure I understand the second part of the question. The first part of the question is the NJFinLit platform can be used by anyone in the state of New Jersey. If you have a use case and you want to promote, definitely can do that. If you want to send an individual to a certain specific resource, then let's say that you wanted to send them to the Mindfulness Hub, for example, you can see at the top, all you have to do is take this link and embed that link, and it brings them right into the Mindfulness Hub. The individuals, as I mentioned earlier, can consume any and all content related to articles and videos, etc., without signing up. But once they take a course or an assessment, they would sign up. And once they have an account, they would be contacted about their activity on the platform going forward, and they would be able to opt in or out in terms of getting the monthly newsletter, etc. I'm not sure. I know that second part was I was not clear on what was meant by it without being contacted, but that's essentially how that works today.
Thank you. So I want to go back to the chat. I see we have another question from our board vice chair, Patricia, which is, are users directed to relevant resources and programs offered by other state or federal agencies, aka home buyer assistance through the NJ Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency or HUD?
So I'm not sure. So what typically will happen is either in this case, that agency would have, if they were going to use this platform, they could link to it for general resources that are specific to national considerations, and then they would still have their own resources within their website. If they wanted, in this case, if they wanted to have a platform like this and be able to integrate their resources into it. That's something that is part of the capabilities to be able to integrate things that are specific. So we have, like the Virginia retirement system is a good example to where they focus the platform. They have their own co-branded platform. They bring in a lot of resources that are specific to Virginia. They have 457Bs, 403Bs, et cetera. So we suppress some of the 401k information. We feature some things that are specific to their state. We feature things that are specific to and more relevant to their retirement offering. But we also realize that we're going to keep these other resources accessible because the individual may have left a job where they had a 401, or their spouse or partner may have a 401k. So we can customize it to that level, but we would be able to do that if it was a co-branded, customizable, configurable platform, which is what the State Treasurer's Office has today.
Okay, thank you. I think we have time for one more question. I'm going to read the last one in the chat here, which is, can this be used in Google Classroom?
Most definitely. As long as you're able to embed the links into that resource, definitely can promote it within that area. And as far as the last question, I know that Melinda had mentioned, she's on the call today from the State Treasurer's Office, that there are some of the resources linked on the Treasurer's welcome page from the dashboard. So I know that's, again, some things that we'll be working with the team there at the State Treasurer's Office in terms of what, from a use case standpoint, what from a user experience standpoint, does it make sense, and how does it make sense to continue to configure and customize this platform for New Jerseyans? And that's one of the exciting things. So this is really just the beginning. So appreciate everyone's time and patience with me today, and hope this has been helpful. But thank you, Ryan, very much.
Thank you, Todd. We really appreciate you taking us through this walkthrough here. And I hope that everyone has a better understanding of this great new free resource. So thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Just want to share my screen again. Just give me a moment. All right. So once again, a thank you to Todd Woodley for his great work with Enrich, his great work with the State Treasurer's Office, and for giving us this fantastic presentation and walkthrough today. If you have any other questions, please feel free to email us, info@njcfe.org. We want to make sure that is any and all questions are answered either by Enrich or by the Treasurer's Office, because this is a great resource. We want to make sure that everyone has the ability to use it to the fullest. So